Hello, everybody. It's been a minute. Last time I was on this channel, I was a whole nigga. And I went by Michael, and now I go by L. Williams. And today I'm gonna rant about some things. I'm gonna talk about some stuff that has been on my mind and I've been experiencing as a Black trans person. And I'm gonna take y'all on the ride with me. I'm also gonna be doing some light, easy makeup for Black and brown trans girls. So if you are Black or brown, if you have deeper skin tones, this is gonna be something cute for you. So just watch. I'm not gonna go into detail about everything I'm putting on my face, but if you have questions, put it in the comments and I'll reply. But if you don't got questions, don't ask no questions. But anyways, I'm gonna rant while I do my face. And one of the first things I wanted to talk about is insensitivity around politics when you're discussing people's lives and livelihoods and just what they're going through. And what I mean by that is, like, you know, one of the things that really bothers me is that when I go on the internet, I see people who have jobs, who live at home with their parents, who have boyfriends, who have husbands, who have money, and they speak about the pandemic and the things they're going through as if it's like the end of the world. Remember, this is a rant, so this could not be appropriate or it could not, but it's like they speak about the things they're going through as if it's like real poverty and real problems. And it's like, I feel like people need to be more realistic about the amount of suffering they have and the amount of suffering that they wish they had. Because a lot of people walking around in America today are really, really trying to feel like they're oppressed. You have people who are complaining about the vaccination and complaining about presidency and complaining about all of these things that they're liable and they are at fault for allowing into our society. But then you turn around and you have trans people who have been in a pandemic in America since I don't even know when. The pandemic has taken away a lot of people's job access. And I say that, and the reason why like I'm tying this under me venting about politics is because this pandemic has become like really, really political, extremely political. And a lot of people are forgetting that the state that they're in right now is a state that many, many trans people are in every day, every single day. And we're still suffering from the things that are happening to us outside of COVID while dealing with the stuff that's happening with COVID. So like, you know, for example, I'm gonna give y'all something because we're venting. Yesterday, I went to go see a place because I'm at risk of being homeless again. And I'm looking for stability in Los Angeles so that, you know, I can just have a space to do my business, to take my hormones, to like start my life and bring positivity in it. Because when you're homeless, it's hard to do anything at all for the most part. And yesterday I went to this house and the person who said I could move into this place was a Black person, or so I thought, you know, according to like how they portray themselves online. And I was really excited, and a really close friend of mine took me out to this house in this very pretty area, and I was like, this is gonna be really cool for me. I get there, not only do I find out that there are no Black people there, it's all white people. And y'all, it was crazy. The rent that I was supposed to pay was like $350 for this room, right? $350. I'm gonna get a little messy. $350 for this room. And I was like, okay, that's cool. But then I find out that there are white people living on the property of this house paying $70 to keep their van on the property, but to use all the amenities in the house and to be in the house and to do everything with it. But they're trying to bring a Black trans person in to cover a majority of the rent. And I was flabbergasted, y'all. I was flabbergasted. Because I'm just like, it's 2020, and here y'all white trans people are, and we're gonna talk about that too, because that's another venting point. Here y'all white trans people are taking up this huge space, but you're not even in it. You're on the lawn of the house in trailers, paying $70, but using the house and then gatekeeping it against black trans people. Crazy. Crazy, right? And it was just so disheartening for me because it's like, you know, like, I feel like black trans people, we put in so much work. Like, we put in so much work for our community. We put in work so that white trans people can say that they're trans. Because white trans people wouldn't be able to say that they're trans if it wasn't for black trans people. And that's the truth. Like, we created the culture. You know? And you have like all these white trans people who are like, we're gonna build these woodstocky ass fucking environments, but we gonna charge the black people to pay the rent, even though we're too cheap to even pay actual rent. Annoying. Another thing I want to vent about: white trans people. So on my Finsta today, y'all, I went online and I was like, you know, I'm really, really sick of just living on earth. I wish there was a place for black trans people to go, because if you're black and trans, you felt the same way. Because I don't feel like we have safety or legitimacy or a lot of those things in America, and I don't feel like we ever will if the country is the way it is. And what I mean by that is, I went on my Finsta today and I said, I wish there was a planet for just black trans people to go to. And a white passing person said, what about the other trans people, like the white trans people? And I'm just like wondering, why do y'all gotta do that? And then they want to be like, oh, it's about community. No, it's not. In a country where black trans people have a higher death rate than every other trans person in the country, black trans femmes specifically, and women, why would we want to make space for people in our community when they're not even protecting us? What are white trans people doing for the black trans community, the community that made the community, to like keep us safe, to help us out? No, instead, they out here living in trailers for $70, using up great spaces and talking about being inclusive on the internet. I literally had to leave a white trans person's house because they asked me to move in there after I was physically abused and I had nowhere else to go. And I said I didn't want to stay. They asked me to stay and then asked me to leave when they were jealous of me having friends, or I didn't reciprocate them having feelings for me because it felt a little weird. But y'all white trans people are weird as fuck. Y'all don't understand that, like, this community is not yours. Yes, there are white trans people. Yes, you exist. The community is not yours, though. And it irritates me because so many people want to talk about caring about trans people, but when a black trans bitch says, I wish there's a place all black trans people could go to feel safe, y'all want to be like, what about the white people? And that shit's irritating, y'all. That shit is so irritating. It's irritating because it's like, white trans people have jobs. Like, every time I go to a dispensary, y'all, I want to work at a dispensary so badly. I've applied at so many of them. Every time I go there, there's trans people there. They're always white. Anytime I go to any establishment to apply for a job or look for a job or want a job, y'all, do you know how crazy it's so wild? Because I feel like some people have this misconception that I get too, like, trans people be getting too scared or a lot of things to apply for jobs. And in some cases and in some places, yes, that is true, because our safety is more important than us working for capitalism. But it's like, I'm privileged enough to not be someone who's scared. Maybe because I don't be caring about my life that much, and I'll be ready to just go off. But also because, like, I'm privileged enough to be light-skinned, you know, I'm a little pretty. So I don't get targeted as much as a lot of my sisters would, you know, who are darker skinned or don't fit the criteria of what y'all think black should look like in America. But it's like whenever I go to apply for jobs, y'all, do you know how disheartening it is when you go in there and you're like, yay, this is like an equal opportunity establishment, but nobody in there looks like you. And people want to be like, oh yeah, why you need somebody to look like you? And usually people who say it are people who have people who look like them in every space. But they're so desensitized to needing to feel comfort and familiarity that they just don't get it. And it's just like, y'all, like, it's hard out here. It's fucking hard. It's really hard too because, you know, y'all voted in a vice president who threw trans women into male prisons. And what's crazy is I know people who like are like, I'm an ally, I support the trans community, da 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 da. But then the moment the vice president, we're telling y'all she's transphobic, y'all are like, oh no, she has discrepancies, but I just need her there. That's some weird psychotic shit to me. Like, if my friend was like, yo, like, don't bring your dog to my mom's house because she be eating dogs, I'm not gonna go, oh my God, I just need someone to babysit her. She'll be fine. And leaving my dog at your crazy ass mom's house. So it's like, everyone talking about they care about trans people, but then voting for Kamala, I understand that, you know, everyone wants Trump out of office. Everyone wanted Trump out of office. Everyone wants him out of office. But it's like, then what? Are trans people still going to be attacked? Are there still going to be Mexican, Haitian, South and Central American people and Caribbean people in these camps? Because ain't nobody talking about camps no more. Y'all just seem to forgot about them because, you know, Biden did his wooju juju on you and Kamala Harris showed you her pussy. So now y'all are all just like all for them. But it's just like, what about those things that we were worrying about before? You know? And it's just weird to me. I'm priming my eyes, you guys. Y'all, look, if you putting on eyeshadow without eye primer, you need to stop. Because that's how your shit be looking nasty. Don't use no concealer. Get you an eye primer. The Too Faced Shadow Insurance. I've had it for like 90 years. That's what the label's off. That shit's fire. But it makes the shadows stick. And y'all gonna see. Because we gonna throw in some lessons in here. But it's like, how do y'all say you care about us? And like, that's where my frustration comes from. Because I have so many people who will comment on my shit and be like, I love you, I love you, I love you. And be like, oh, you're so smart, da 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 da. But it's like, when I tell you hoes that the person you're supporting is putting black trans women into prisons, y'all want to ignore it. And still support this person. That means you don't give a fuck about me. Voting and actively caping for a bitch are two different things. Another thing I want to vent about is cis people really not understanding boundaries within helping, giving someone advice, and, you know, like just not listening to them. Because a lot of those things can really get mixed together as giving advice, and it's just not real. And an example I want to give of that, I'm using the Jackie Aina palette. An example that I want to give of that is like, you know, when your trans friend is calling you and they're like, oh my God, I'm stressed because I'm on the verge of homelessness. I'm sad because I'm on the verge of homelessness. Or I'm stressed because I'm hungry, A, B, C, D, this and that. Or I'm stressed because I can't get a job. Your first response shouldn't be to help give them a way on how to make money because your experience is not like ours. I'm gonna say that 2 more times. Your experience is not like ours. Your experience is not like ours. So no matter what you see in accordance to trans people from your perspective does not mean that it's accurate. So for my brown girls, you know, girls with my skin color, because I'm not deeper, I can do a tutorial for deeper people if I do my research more, but I don't want to be giving out false advice that will make bitches look dusty. But for my tan girls, my brown girls, even more deeper brown girls, a nice warm red orange is gonna be the truth. And if you want to do a simple eye look, just keep it on the outside like this, you know? Don't do nothing crazy. Blend it on the outside, and then you want to see how crazy the last step is. You're going to stick your finger into like a nice glittery gold bronze shade, because that's what matches the orange. And you're going to pop that on your eyelid, y'all. And then look how beautiful that is. Simple. Keep your eye shape big if you have small eyes. And if you have big eyes, keep your eye shape small. And what I mean by that is I have little eyes, so I shave my fucking eyebrows off and I blend my eyeshadow all the way up. You see, y'all? And it's simple. That's a 2-color eye look. Anyways. Yeah. Fuck Kamala Harris. Another thing I want to vent about is like, you know, empathy in your friendships surrounding trans people. A lot of people like will become friends with trans people and not understand that it's like we're constantly being oppressed. So we're constantly dealing with the after effects of being oppressed, which includes PTSD, isolation, depression, self-harm, like drug use, a plethora of things. Not everyone does these things, but these are things that come out of what being oppressed in society as a Black trans person looks like. And a lot of the times people will be like, people think that caring for us and empathy for us looks like, oh yeah, I love you, da 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 da, I support you in sending texts. That shit's all cute and dandy, y'all. It really, really is. But what's really gonna help trans people and express empathy for trans people is understanding what we legitimately need in that time. And if we cannot tell you what we need, don't suggest stuff. Just be present. If a trans person is saying they need money, don't tell them to get a job. If you can give them even $1, help them out. And if you cannot find in yourself to do that because you're like, oh, I've seen trans people work, I've seen trans people do this, I've seen trans people do that, that's transphobic. Because if you're not a trans person trying to tell a trans person how to deal with their emotions or deal with their life or deal with anything, you're telling them to shut the fuck up and to do what you think is right. And I just don't be liking that. You know, y'all, like, I've had a rough ass life growing up, you know, like a lot of trans people have. And I've experienced things in a way that has forced me to become a lot more sensitive and aware of just everybody around me, because I've just been in so many situations where I've just felt like I couldn't do nothing for people, including myself. And empathy for trans people is understanding that sometimes there's nothing we can do to make our life better aside from ask for help. Especially in today's society, you know? And we just need y'all to understand that. Like, we just really need y'all to just really get that. Because a lot of people aren't. I want to vent about being depressed. You know, because I feel like a lot of people, like, aren't talking about it. And I feel like a lot of other people are glamorizing it. And by glamorizing it, we're going to talk about that, too. Glamorizing depression looks like, y'all could attack me if you want, but I'm just gonna be real. Glamorizing depression looks like when you have secure housing, when you have food every single day and night in your fridge, when you have up-teen amount of clothes to put on your back, when you have money to spend on fun things. And I'm not saying that doesn't validate you not being depressed, but glamorizing depression is when you know other people are really out here suffering, and you use the internet and all these tools to satiate and validate yourself over people who are needing help. And this is very specific towards people in the trans community, because I'm talking to y'all. I'm talking to y'all light-skinned trans people, lighter than me, or even my skin tone. Y'all white trans people. Y'all half-white trans people. that can pass and get a lot of privilege that be out here like, oh my God, like life is just so hard. Like, and you have money in your pocket every day. People donate to your GoFundMes more because you're lighter skin or because you're prettier. People look at you kindly on the street because of how you look. And y'all won't have the things you want, like iPhone 12 or these brand new shoes or friends and or a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a partner or something, and you equate that to being chronically depressed. And that's not. That's just, I'm sorry, I'm gonna say this. That's just honestly, it's being very unaware, selfish, and a brat. Because there are people out here who have nowhere to lay their head at night and are dealing with depression, who have no weed to help with their stress and are dealing with depression, who have no partner to vent to, who have no sex to have and are dealing with stress. And you have a lot of like, you know, white trans people, light-skinned trans people on the internet like, oh my God, like life is so hard. Like, oh my God, it's just so depressing, like not having someone to love me. And it's like, bitch, go to sleep, make yourself some dinner, get some help. Ask the community for someone to lean on. Ask if anybody has recs for like a trans therapist. But stop going on the internet with your privilege and throwing it in people's faces and then asking to be given place in a community for your depression when you know what you're gonna eat and where you're gonna sleep the next day. That just really bothers me. Because there are a lot of times where I know people who experience homelessness, and I'm not gonna include myself because I do have privilege. People who experience direct, immediate homelessness don't even have time to be depressed. I'm priming my face, y'all. Prime your face. Prime your face. Prime your face. Buy a primer. If you are trans and you are trying to cover up 5 o'clock shadows, or just make your makeup stick and not get clocked. I hate using that word, but if that's what you're going for, fine. Use a primer. Because primers make everything stick, you know? Primers are like good pussy. Like once you use it once, you're not gonna give it up. So use primer. It makes your foundation stick. It fills in your pores. It gives you like that smooth, like beautiful look. But you just gotta find a primer that's good for you. If you're oily skin, get you a matte primer. If you're combo skin, get you something in between. And if you dry, get you a primer that's gonna moisturize all that crocodile skin like me. I use the Milk Hydro Grip Primer because it has so much and it lasts so long. But yeah, depression is fucking real, y'all, for a lot of people. And when you're out here on the internet or out here around even people who you don't even know are experiencing that can't even experience their depression, and you glamorize yours in front of them, it's kind of fucked. Be real about your depression if you can. Talk about it in real senses if you can. But don't be on the internet, on Instagram, like, oh my God, I'm so sad. And the next post be like, I'm so ugly. No one wants to have sex with me. Like, are you saying you're sad because no one wants to have sex with you? Because that's not a reason to be sad. So now we can go into the face, y'all. Until I think of something else to vent. And this part is important. So a lot of people I see do this thing that's really, really cute on the internet. And I did it for a long time too. But everyone puts their foundation on and then puts their concealer on top of that. And the reason why I don't think the girls should be doing their makeup this way, or we shouldn't, is because when you put your concealer over your foundation, it gives it this distinct like triangle look. And it looks like you're wearing makeup. And like, I always want the girls in the community that I'm in, to look like not their best, but to look the best version of themselves. And I feel like pushing large amounts of makeup and pushing this YouTube rhetoric on how makeup should be done isn't for us, because there are very few people who are trans who are doing their makeup for trans people who can't always pass on the internet. So what I do is, Jackie Aina does this method, J-Lo's makeup artist does this method, a lot of people do this method. I put my concealer on my under eye first, and I use like a little bit of a brighter one because I like a little dramatics. But you don't have to. You can use one that's like way more close to your skin tone. But I just like that under eye look. And I'm just going to do this, y'all. This is all I'm going to do. I don't really like to cover up my 5 o'clock shadow, but I'm going to show y'all how you can do it right now. So after I put my concealer on, I let that shit sit, and I fan that hoe. I learned this from Jackie on it too, because this makes your concealer stick longer. Now, what I'm going to do, because I don't want this to be like hella cakey, the longer you leave your concealer on, the more coverage you're going to get, so the more it's going to look like you're wearing makeup. The quicker you take your concealer and blend it out, the less it's gonna look like you're wearing makeup, and the more you're gonna have like a more thin, like just easy, more. It's gonna be more penetrable by like light and sight when you blend it out faster. So I blend it out a little faster, but what I do is I stamp. I don't wipe, I stamp. And the reason I do that is because when you stamp, you can drag the concealer from the areas you want and transfer it. So like I like to cover up my mustache, but I don't like to put product on it because then it gets that cakey thing and it clings around the hairs and it looks really ugly. So I like to stamp it and then drag it down and stamp it over that. And what stamping does is it pushes the product into the skin. You keep as much coverage on while still blending it out well. This is a Real Techniques, I think it's the concealer brush. I've literally had this brush for like 8 years, y'all. It's one of my favorite brushes to blend on my other eye with. It's soft. It has a nice round little thing. So I'm gonna go through the other side, do the same thing. And you're just gonna stamp. And you see, like, this looks crazy because this is not my skin tone. So what you gonna do is after you highlight it, let me hit my eyebrows a little bit, you know. After you highlight, I've been letting my foundation sit on the back of my hand so it can get tacky this whole time. But after you highlight or contour, if you do all of that, I don't contour anymore because I have really high fucking cheekbones. You're gonna take any brush that you prefer to use. I like to use like the kabuki type brushes because they really pack it into the skin. And you're gonna go around the perimeter of where you put that concealer. And then you're gonna start, like, you're gonna go over your mustache with the foundation that you just put on. And then you're gonna start tapping it closer into the concealer. And you see how it's not really sitting on my skin, it's more so blending into it. You can blend your foundation with the concealer. And I just feel like it looks more seamless. Like, it looks like the light is coming in. You have, like, some light on your face still. You know, and then I'm just going to drag the rest of that down. And you want to be careful not to mix the concealer with the foundation too much down because you're going to drag all that kind of down your neck, on your ears, and your jawline so that it blends. You know, and I like to do my neck and just really blend that out so that it looks seamless. Get your nose. And the trick with foundation, y'all, is to not go cakey. Like, really, really take your time. Like, you don't have to squirt 8 pumps and do the dots that the YouTubers do because that just puts way too much product on your face. And if you're trying to make it look effortless, and even if you're trying to do some real drag shit, you don't have to use so much. You just have to get the right product and use the right amount. So I like to use medium buildable foundation. So I'm using the Makeup Forever Reboot one. This one is really, really good if you have, and be honest, minimal skin issues. And if you want something light that looks effortless because it reflects light and it's kind of like a BB cream foundation. But if you're someone who has skin issues, Becca makes really good foundations for people with skin issues. Beauty Bakery, Black owned, they make really good full coverage foundations if that's what you want. If you want low coverage foundations, Becca makes low coverage foundations. Pure has really good buildable low coverage foundations. So it's like all about like finding what works for you and doing that. Low coverage works for me. Low coverage helps me look cute, and I don't need a lot of coverage. And I just go right under there again one more time. And do y'all see how nice that looks? That's cute. That's real cute. So, gonna go over my neck one more time with the excess. And then here, and then look, and then you finish. But we're not gonna powder yet, y'all. We're not gonna powder yet because one thing that also pisses me off that I wanna vent about is motherfucking train track highlight on your face, y'all. Like, everything is supposed to be blended. Everything's supposed to look effortless. And one of the things that I like to do to give myself like an effortless highlight, you guys, is to not put it on after I put on my powder. Because if you think about it, you want the highlight to look as close to your skin as possible. And when you put it on after your powder, it floats on your face. At least for me, it does. So I'm taking the Cover FX like gold highlighter and this kind of like thicker brush. And I'm going on top of the foundation before I powder it. And then I'm gonna just blend that. I don't really like that like severe, crazy line highlight. I like to look like glowy. And I blend that there. And you see how that looks less crazy than when it's on powder. And you're just gonna do the same thing on the other side, y'all. And I keep my highlight pretty high because of my cheekbones. Put your highlight where your cheekbones is at, y'all. Don't put it down your face like a line. If your cheekbone is from here to here, put your highlight there. If your cheekbone's from here to here, put your highlight there. If your cheekbone is prominently here and here like mine is, keep it there. Keep it there. You know, you can blend it onto your cheek a little bit if you don't got a lot of texture. If you have texture, you want to do it, do it. But just putting it right here works for me. And I always do the highlight first because I like my blush and my bronzers to like mix into it. You know what I mean? Because if you use a blush and a bronzer that's like your skin tone, it just adds your, like if it fits your skin tone, it adds like this, it just adds more tone and just more warmth to your face, you know? So I'm gonna put on a little bit more right at the edge of the cheekbone to get that little glow. Get my nose, get my mouth, get a little bit on my chin. I always have to do the Cupid's bow because the Cupid's bow makes you look like you got DSLs. So if you highlight this, it looks like you be sucking dick, you know? So I'm gonna pop this on and then I do my blush. And the blush I'm gonna use today is from this Too Faced Natural Face. Y'all, a lot of my makeup is really old because I be poor and I just can't see myself buying like a whole bunch of expensive makeup again. So I'll buy really good makeup one time and make that shit fucking last. So I'm gonna put this pinkish blush here because I got kind of like this bright eye going on and I like it. And that is gonna go around the highlight. And do you see that, y'all? The more you blend it, the shimmer in the pink is getting on to the highlight. It's mad cute. And this is how I like to do it. I like to put on everything before I powder so that the color of my foundation kind of complements what's going on my face. Because I feel like if you're gonna put, like when you put stuff on your skin, like, I don't know, let's say like, I don't know, when you put clothes on, you don't put a whole different color layer of clothes on under it. No, you put the clothes on that match your skin, you know? So I feel like if you have like wet foundation on your face, I like a lot of blush, y'all. If you have wet foundation on your face with your skin color, put a powder into it and it will kind of melt into that. And this is what it does. It just gives you like a very like, it looks a little extreme right now, but after we powder it will look great. It just gives you that like, that oomph. So then the next step before I powder, y'all, is my bronzer. I like to use a Makeup Forever Pro Fusion bronzer, but I know this doesn't run deep enough for a lot of people. Bronzers that I do know run deep, I can do a video on black owned brands I know about and I'll like talk about them and like put links down there. But I do know that Beauty Bakery has a really dark bronzer. Anastasia Beverly Hills is a dark bronzer. I know there are bronzers for people who are dry skin and want more shimmer that are for deeper tones. I think Milani has one. I'll look up and do some more shit on bronzers because bronzers is a huge thing. I feel like a lot of people sleep on what bronzer can do to your face, but I like this bronzer. She waterproof. She look very skin light. So if this bronzer shows up on you, get it. If it doesn't, ask me, you know, send me a comment and I'll hit you back with another one. I'll research it on my own if you're trans. But I think bronzer changes your whole face, y'all. And it's so subtle that people don't notice it. Bronzer just really just gives you like that. I'm gonna show you half of my face with it and half of it without it. So y'all don't see much of a difference, but there's like this warmth that is forming right there, as opposed to here where it's kind of just like my blush and my highlight sitting on my face. I don't like an intense bronzer. I used to use really dark bronzers. I used to go really, really hard on that shit. But like my style of makeup now is very much so like sun-kissed with drama. So like I don't be out here like doing a really dark ass bronzer. But this bronzer is really cute if you just want to add warmth to your face and you're not trying to contour or do any crazy shit. This is good. And I feel like also too, if you're dealing with the 5 o'clock shadow, because you know some of the girls we are, if you're dealing with the 5 o'clock shadow, a powder clings to the stubble on your face, and not all of us can get all the stubble off. So I like to use products around the stubble that are as least close to powder as possible. And this bronzer is like putty kinda. Like it like sinks in and it feels like almost like I'm putting on like a really light concealer. But I like to use this on because it doesn't cling to like my hairs. Like when I was baking, if y'all watch my old videos, when I was baking and putting on hella powders and all this shit, everything was sticking to my face. One, because I was dry and I didn't know it. And two, because it was just sticking to all like the stubble and the hair, and I just didn't like it. I used to like hate my makeup until I stopped like wearing so much and really tried to work with my skin. I feel like that's really important, guys, especially as trans girls, trans femmes. It's really important to like work with your skin. And I don't mean like go to a esthetician and make it perfect, but it's like if drinking more water helps it, drink more water. If eating more fruits helps it, eat more fruits if you have that access. Ask some of your girlfriends around you, like, what do they use for their skin? Maybe they can share some stuff with you. Maybe they can help you out. Maybe somebody can give you a hookup, you know? But really take your time to research your skin, because I feel like, at least for me and my dysphoria, taking care of my skin has helped a lot, because my skin made me feel very mannish. And now that I'm exfoliating and, you know, investing in it with what I can and researching about what I put into my body that helps keep me youthful and cute, it's helped my dysphoria a lot. And I feel like that could help some of the girls. So if you want some any advice y'all want and you're trans, hit me up in the comments. I'm gonna put my IG and everything down below. And y'all can follow me. Y'all can ask me questions if you want. So the powder I'm gonna use is from YALL. Don't sleep on YALL, y'all. YALL is lit, and it's their illuminating HD powder. Now for my dry skin hoes, you can powder your face, but there's like an entire process to it. I'm dry combo, so I get areas in some areas. I get oily in some areas. And then what I do is I concentrate the powder into the areas that I get the most oily. And then I put the powder on the rest of my face and I douse my face in my favorite setting spray. And douse. And what this does, or use rose water. If you're really dry, after you powder, use a ton of rose water, fan it, and it will just give you that cute look. So I take the powder, I get like a few, I like to use this nice big fluffy poofy brush that I use my bronzer for. And I stamp that hoe on the nose, around the mouth, under the eyes, middle of the forehead, up here. And you can still see the majority of the powder, y'all, on the middle of my nose. And that's what you want. You don't need, or my under eyes, just because I like them to stick and I like a certain type of under eye. But you don't need to dip into the powder 80 times and like put it all over your face and bake. Like, this is not a bowl of Frosted Flakes. Y'all are not powdered donuts. Like, you know, if you're doing drag or performance work, or if you want to do that, that's cool. But if you're trying to look like as natural as possible while still having drama on your face, loading up the powder isn't right, because powder is a solid object. Very minuscule, but solid. And when you pile it on, it builds up and it starts clinging and fixing everywhere, and that's how you get the forehead lines, that's how you get the laugh lines, that's how you get the ugly ass crow's feet. And I don't want none of my sisters or my femme sisters or, you know, my non-binary femmes out here looking crazy. Like, I want y'all to look your own definition of beautiful. So even if it's not me, if it's not what I'm doing, because my definition of beautiful isn't everybody's, you know, there are just certain things you should not do with your makeup if you're trying to look a certain way. And a lot of us are trying to look a certain way. So, the next thing I would do is spray my face. I don't have the spray over here, but y'all can see how it looks. Like, it looks illuminated. It looks pretty. I don't even really necessarily have to powder my face with this. I mean, spray my face with this. My spray is away from me, so I'm not going to do it, but I just wanted to show you guys. And if you don't like setting spray, you could honestly let the powder sit. And you're going to get, it's going to sink into your skin. So the final step that I would do is apply my mascara and my lip. And I think my favorite lip for me to use for like natural or just like sexy, natural, beautiful, and just effortless is a gloss. Now, if y'all are tan, brown, deeper skin tones, stop putting them colored fairy princess cocaine glosses on your mouth. Y'all look like you was out here popping Molly and stuttering all night at the party. Like, if you know, you know. Y'all, like, no, get you a nice, and see, the thing is, you don't have to use a brown gloss. My lips are pink naturally, but my skin is like a brown tan tone. So I use a gloss that is brownish, reddish, pinkish, more brown and pink, and has some golds in it because my undertone is very golden, very warm, you know. And I just had to hop a gloss on, y'all. And look at this shit. This is the Milani Ludacris gloss. Y'all, these shits are fire. Don't sleep on drugstore, y'all, because they're coming up. And I don't think I'm going to put on mascara today. But this is the final look, you guys. This is what I do. This is the quickest look that I do. And this is the easiest thing for me to do. If y'all want an in-depth, step-by-step, face part by face part tutorial for each thing, let me know. Like, if you want me to just do the eyes, I can do it. If you just want me to do the face, I can do it. If you just want me to talk, I can do that. If there are things you want me to talk about, I can do that. But I'm happy to be back on YouTube. I'm going to be really brave. I'm going to be out here for my community. And I'm just going to, you know, I'm going to try and work on being consistent. So if you liked this, give me a thumbs up. I sound like such a YouTuber. And subscribe. And I will see y'all next time. I love you guys. Stay safe. Take care of yourselves. If your gut is telling you that a bitch is a fake ass hoe, trust your gut and get out of there. And put yourself around people who love you and care about you. If you are trans and you need someone to talk to me. If you are trans and you are black, make sure you are around people you can trust. If you cannot trust them, do not be around them, because your life is not something to just be played with. I love you guys. Have a great rest of your day.